You're watching PEGRI TV, Rhode Island's public access channel.
Oh, you didn't know? Yes, it is.
Welcome everybody to the hot tag. Ooh, you know, there was a really good hot tag a couple of weeks ago too that I really liked. We are brought to you by the Official Wrestling Museum. We are your host. I am Angel, and I'm brought to you with my. Yeah, I am totally off on this one, 110%. I am sorry, folks. It has been a very busy week, but here is the host of the show, the Official Wrestling Museum's Hall of Famer.
No life.
Boy, was that all jumbled up today. It's been a very interesting morning with us. We had a pretty interesting production meeting prior to coming on here.
Had a little talk with the
Locals.
Providence Police Department.
So, but we do have a lot of great things coming out into the community. We will be posting up where we're going to be for our community outreaches starting at the end of this month, going all through the rest of the year. We mentioned some places on one of our shows last week. It will be up on our social media, our website, and we will bring it up on this show as well too for you guys. All these events are free to the public to come on out just for a good time. We will be at Terracon next weekend in Massachusetts. I think it's next weekend. I don't even remember the date. I know it's the last weekend of the month. We'll be up there, and they just added Rikishi to there.
Terracon?
To Terracon.
What's horrible about him except his rump?
Well, maybe that's it. Would you want to take a sick race? I want it. So he's going to be there. And then RI Comic Con is coming up November 1st to the 3rd here in Providence, Rhode Island. They just released their monster announcements of all the different wrestlers they have.
And all the Police Academy stars, too.
You know,
Captain
so,
Harris is going to be there.
To be honest
And
with
Proctor.
you, like, so RI Comic Con, and they have other Comic Cons they do, but I think the RI one, at least to me, seems like their baby, their
Yeah.
main one.
I've never been, man. I've seen over the years
God, you're
that they've
missing
had some people and stuff. I've never
Well,
been.
you're planning on being there for Terracon, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're rocking and rolling. Remember, that's on your agenda. So it'll be fun. We'll get you out, and then the RI Comic Con, hopefully we'll get you in.
I saw that they're going to have all these Police Academy stars. I didn't see Captain Mauser. Got to meet. If I was
Well,
going to go
they're
there,
still announcing more people as
Steve
well, too.
Gutenberg is going to be there.
You know, this year, they really do a good job with having guests on there, you know, there that you can get more than one person from a certain show or something like this year. I feel like RI Comic Con really hit it out of the park with the themes that they have, with the number of people that, like Twilight, they have 4 different people.
Oh,
You said
man. I know how
Police
much you're
Academy.
into. I know how much you're into Twilight.
Oh, yes. But, you know,
Team Jacob or Team whatever the other guy is?
Atwood.
Was one of them Jacob?
One was Jacob, one was Atwood.
Okay.
I'll
Which
be
one was
like
the wolf?
Jacob?
It was a wolf and vampire, right?
Yeah.
Jacob was the wolf?
Jacob was the wolf. Now,
All right, are you
so here's the thing. We can answer that right now, and that's either going to help with ratings or hurt ratings, depending on the
Yeah,
team
I
at
can't
home.
segregate.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
all those teenage girls that are watching this
So
show.
I'm going to say I was Team Bella. You know why?
Who's Bella? The main girl?
Yeah.
All right.
Because she played the field and she won on both ends. So
Real quick, I did watch those. I did watch those movies because the relationship I was in at the time, she was so tired of watching all the movies for guys that she was like, "You gotta watch these," and I did watch them. Complete waste of time. I'm gonna spoil the whole series right now. The whole series is like a dream.
So here's the thing. In all
They have
honesty,
that
though-
awesome war at the end.
but you know-
that's not even real.
But yeah, but
Heads
that
are
was,
getting ripped
yeah,
off.
But you know what though? I was in the movie theaters for that.
Theater?
And
theater?
for that one, theater, and it was really like, oh, you felt, it was honestly, that moment right there was like if you were at a wrestling event and then all of a sudden something comes back out and they're like, oh my God, he returned.
You mean
It
people were happy that
It was like a huge shock, and then that was really good
when I
entertainment.
watched it and saw that
So-
it was all a dream, I was like,
are
what were the 4 movies for?
We are going to get to your questions, folks.
right.
But RI Comic Con just announced they already had the Nature Boy Ric Flair. Okay, that's awesome. All right, they have announced. I want to make sure I announce everybody for you. David Arquette, it's also there. Why am I bringing up him? Your WCW title belt. You can get signed. He has 2 different promo pictures. One's extremely
Imagine
rare.
getting your title belt signed by him. What a collectible.
You know what though? If you're trying to get everyone that's held that title, you got to get them on it. But they have added for Saturday and Sunday only will be the Lex Luger, the Hardy Boys, and Kane. And then for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, there'll be multiple people. Dr. Britt Baker, Darby Allin, DDP, Mick Foley, Dustin Runnels, Francine will all be in the house. Now, I know you have a couple of questions that was written in.
Yeah.
Why don't you check that out? And I will be back in 2 seconds.
All right, so I guess I'll answer this one. I'll ask this one. And this is the right question for me to ask because I'm so political. Thomas Doby wrote in and he said, with the anniversary passing just recently, what did you think of the WWE SmackDown episode that was about September 11th? So I didn't watch it. You know, there were more important things going on at the time in the world than watching wrestling. But I do remember that Lillian Garcia did the incredible rendition of the national anthem. I've seen clips of that. I think the other thing that really stands out was Stephanie McMahon did a little interview segment where she compared the September 11th attacks on the World Trade Center in America. She compared it to the government going after her father during the steroid trial. And it's like, how out of touch are you with reality that you would compare this tragedy to your father's personal issues?
I think also too, that was a really good news that we just got, and we have a huge announcement coming on Off the Ropes in due weeks, but we have a special announcement for an upcoming free preview show that we're doing for the Epilepsy Foundation, and we have a huge announcement that we're going to be able to make during that show. That was a really great call. But so this was about the 9/11 show.
The September
So
11th show.
I think what they were trying to do was put a spin to try to get people's their mind off all the hurt in the world, to try
Yeah.
to turn it into something else.
I do think it was good for that.
It was a bad taste for how they turned it, but I give them credit. They were the very first of anybody, any sport, any entertainment, that stood up and said, you know what, we need to do something
Yeah,
for
I
the
mean, I just
people."
took the thing that was glaringly, like, out of reality that this person would compare a personal family issue with her father to this tragedy where thousands of people innocently died. But it was in the sense of if you eliminate that one thing, I think they knocked that out of the park.
They really did.
I think JBL had something big to do with that too. I don't really remember, but like I said, I've never watched the episode.
Yeah.
Like I said, there's too much emotion at the time. And do you want me to read this? You can read yours
I'll
first.
go, now, I don't know.
These are
if
3
you-
ones that just came in, right? Or-
These just came in. Now, if you guys, before we go any further, if you guys look, our bucket is getting kind of empty. We have actually got flooded with a whole bunch of questions. And that's why we're trying to get to some of these are more like comments and questions. We actually have all the questions written down from you guys. It's going to be added in here. We just want to get through these particular ones so we don't keep adding new ones. And then people that have written in a couple months ago and their questions not answered, we don't want them to feel bad, not want to write in again. We appreciate everybody writing in. So
So are
that's
these
why
ones-
we're doing that. So these we're going to answer, we'll talk about now and stuff.
These ones are timely, is that why?
It's kind of, sort of.
All right.
Now this one, and I might get it wrong, and I do apologize for that. It is I Mean from Xi'an, China. I have no idea. I do like fortune cookies though, so that's okay. What is the most recent wrestling figure purchase you have made? I bought Trick Williams, Dragon Lee, Tiffany Stratton, and upcoming Ultimate Edition Outsiders and CM Punk, all from Ringside Collectibles. A lot of money spent. Big fan of the show. Thank you. And there's a couple of symbols. I'm not sure what the symbols mean, unfortunately. Pretty cool. Thank you for being a fan all the way from China. So those are actually really good figures. As of late, I think Grayson Wild, the Grayson figure was the last one I picked up personally.
For me, it was the British Bulldog or the Muhammad Ali Superstars figure. I can't remember which one.
Well, you would talk about the Muhammad Ali one last week.
And I got the Bulldog one too. So
okay.
I just don't remember which
Just
one
don't
was.
remember?
Yeah.
So what I will say though is this time of the year I tend to kind of hold off unless if it's like a rare or a chase type of figure, or one in a line type of figure, or first figure, because where you bought them from, Ringside Collectibles, are going to start all your Black Friday and holiday shoppings, and the deals you get, and it's on brand new figures that are coming out too, not just ones that's been sitting there in their warehouse. It's unbelievable. So, if you heard of this company and now you're ordering from them, watch for Black Friday, Cyber Monday deals.
Black
and
Friday
everything.
times 2 times
Times 3. And week, I know it's week 2.
They do a
is
third,
typically,
too.
Well, yeah, they go up to 4 and then they go to a holiday sale sometimes, depending on how the
So if they do the
but
Black-
week 2 is usually
yeah,
the best
they should-
one.
If they do a Black Friday sale, then a Black Friday 2, Black Friday 3, if you want to play it safe, go for the Black Friday sale. You can stretch it out and go for like the Black Friday 2 or 3 sale.
Sometimes
You
they do the
only,
early bird
you
sale
only
too.
save like an extra $1 or 2, but
Yeah.
it's worth it. But at the same time, if there's a figure that you want, don't wait. Okay,
And-
whatever.
yeah.
We don't work for them. So. All right. So Jason MacArthur wrote, "This is my Sunday morning ritual. The wife goes to church, and I sit at home and watch these shows you put on. I agree with some things, disagree with some, but am
okay.
entertained by most. With that being said, Halloween is on the horizon, and I see you mentioning trunk or treats. I am a big horror person. What are your thoughts on the horror characters of the early to mid 90s, like Jason and Freddy in wrestling?" And I remember that. I remember like looking through PWIs, and I would see Jason the Terrible and Freddy Krueger, and I think they were in like USWA.
Yeah.
And I guess it's kind of cool at the time. Like, oh, it's Jason and Freddy. I think the most popular of them was Leatherface or Super Leather, who was actually Corporal Kirshner.
Yep.
And he went over to Japan, and he would have the chainsaw. But that was more in Japan than here. I think he would have been the only one that really made that character work.
Yeah.
The Jason the Terrible and Freddy ones, they were just probably gimmicks for the time,
And we
capitalize on Jason and Freddy.
and we appreciate you tuning in to us and watching us.
Yeah, I don't know where these are
it's-
from, by the way. So
Okay. Yeah, let us know where you guys are from too, so we can shout it out, so you know we're directly talking to you if you didn't catch the whole, reply. You know what I mean? But yeah, some people are gonna agree, disagree. That's the greatest part about wrestling. In the sense of the characters, what I would say is I always liked a good horror character in wrestling, if
Yeah.
it's done correctly.
but these are just not
You know what
even.
I mean? Right, and those in
These are
particular.
just straight up rip-offs. Well,
Right.
I went with the rip-offs. I don't know if well, he did mention Jason and Freddy, but yeah, those were basically just rip-offs of the movie, and they capitalized.
Right.
But as far as what you're talking about, the horror gimmicks, and like my son is huge into the horror characters.
It's gonna just be done right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And if you were to do a rip-off gimmick, you got to play it right, because if not, it's not gonna get over, and it's just gonna end up hurting everything in the business. All right, let's try to get to some of these questions that we have from you guys. Remember, keep writing them in to theofficialwrestlingmuseum.com, our email, social medias, under the comments on our YouTube page, because without you, we can't do this show.
All right. Well,
This show
I'm going
is-
to go with the typed one.
Of course. No spectacles today?
What's your thoughts on Bobby Roode? And that's from Tim in Providence.
You know what? I always thought Bobby Roode was a very solid worker. I think Bobby Roode has the ability to put on a great show. A very quiet individual, somebody, that would be, at meet and greets and wouldn't be really
I was going to
interactive.
say, how's this signing?
Yeah, he's a very, not shy, but he was signed for you. He's not going to be like, oh, you got something extra. You know what I mean? He likes to be more behind scenes than anything. And I think, honestly, he's hitting it out of the park.
You know what's
running
funny?
these matches with WWE
funny,
right now.
What's funny is we'll get a question like this, right? You immediately go to, oh, he sounds his signature great. My comment is, Bobby Roode, he's always had great themes. And I always go to that theme song.
You do, yeah.
He's always had some great theme songs. And but as far as his work, he's a fantastic worker. He's a guy that if we do a show, which I want to do a show of guys that we would like to see go to other promotions, I would have always, earlier than what he did, wanted to see him go to WWF.
Me too.
I always thought he would be really good mid-card, possible main event level, maybe not get the title, but get that shot. But I always felt he'd be like a great, he always looked like Triple H to me in a way.
Yeah.
When Triple H
You know what, though?
cut his hair.
I would say, though.
They got a good guy he's an agent now, and he's.
Well, that's what I was just going to say.
If you
He's
look at all
awesome.
the agents, are all old TNA guys now, pretty
Yep.
much,
And he's writing the big matches on the show, not these, popcorn matches or anything like that. And for your comment, you would have liked to see him go earlier. I always said that myself, but now I wonder, if he went earlier, would he be in the position that he is in today? Because he's helping making wrestling what it is today. You know what I mean?
Beer Money, I think, would have been a good tag.
That would have been phenomenal. It's kind of sad that James Storm is kind of
But my mind on my money and my money on my beer.
Lance from Framingham, Massachusetts.
Real quick, Beer Money coming up. We'll be on down that aisle. So
Awesome. And you can find that right on our YouTube page. All right, Lance from Framingham, Massachusetts. Who do you think will be on the next year's WWE 2K25 cover?
wow, that's a pretty good question because they did Cody this year.
Yep.
I don't think it's going to be Jey Uso, even though he's one of the more popular guys. Do you think it could, I know, do they want to do Roman again? I don't know.
Well, I've seen leak images, and it's just people making these images, and everybody's saying it's going to be Roman. I'm going to probably say I wouldn't be surprised if you see the Bloodline on it. Maybe Roman as the main person, maybe Solo right behind him, and everybody off kind of in the back, kind of doing moves to each other or flying around, kind of like an action figure type of commercial
I
image.
like the question a lot because, honestly, I don't think they're going to do Cody again when they just did it. Roman, it's like, he is the big star. They just did Roman. Are they going to do Roman again? It could be Punk.
Yeah,
Because they haven't done
this
Punk
past
in a
year,
long
too,
time.
They had different covers too.
Yeah.
So they could do Punk.
Which I don't understand. I was just talking with Stryker about this. We were talking about the NBA 2K game, and Tatum is on the cover. And I said, I don't know why they don't do a couple. They did that once with 2K WWE, where they had Becky Lynch on it, and I think on the other side they might have had Sami Zayn or.
Well, last year,
Oh no,
too, they
Daniel
had
Bryan. I'm sorry.
the regular, the Delete, and the Deluxe,
Yeah,
or
they do
whatever
that
ones
too.
is, and there were different covers on them too.
Yeah.
So,
My guess would be I'm going to guess CM Punk. I think they're going to capitalize on Punk.
I'm gonna go with. I think it's gonna be a Bloodline with Roman as the main guy, and everybody kind
Could
of
be The Rock
background.
too. I mean, with The Rock coming back here and there.
Yeah.
Either way, I mean, it almost doesn't matter. Like, to me, I'm not one of those guys that cares because you buy the game digitally anyway. And
You know
I
what?
don't know.
So stupid idea. Imagine if they had a cover, right? That was a scratch off of the person that's on the cover, right? And then they could announce a new Bloodline member by scratching it off. And oh my God, or have a couple of different Bloodlines, or just even do a scratch off and then you scratch it off. And it obviously is underneath a sealed package, so you can't just do it in the store.
Yeah.
And then, oh my God, I got Randy Orton on it. Oh, next one, wait a minute, I got 30 Dom on mine.
But
You know what I
the
mean?
thing is, like, with the games, which we're doing a whole, 2 months of video games on figures.
Yeah, we're doing quite a few.
Once we get to the WWE ones, they started using the games as, ways to announce people have been signed, like Sting or... All right, but all right, do you miss seeing The Undertaker wrestling? Richard from West Warwick. Do I miss seeing him? No, because I can go back and watch all his old matches. I don't miss seeing him. I think the last few years really were touch and go as it was. I'll tell you what, that last match he had with AJ, the cinematic graveyard match, I would have liked to have seen more of that. I think that he could have prolonged his career if they had done that more often.
Yeah.
And if they were to do more of that, I would be for it. He doesn't need to wrestle a match for me anymore, or for the last few years. But those cinematic matches, a character like his, it works for.
Yeah.
And I would have been happy with them doing that. So I think that I wouldn't say I miss him wrestling. I miss that we maybe got that. I know it was during COVID era, but I missed maybe that we didn't get to see more of that because it really worked out good.
That did work out good. I'm glad we don't see that much more of it, only in the sense that I didn't want it to be monopolized throughout the company.
And I think it has to be
You
the
know what I
right
mean?
person.
It has to be the right person. It would work with Taker. I'm actually kind of happy we're not seeing him in the ring anymore. Because you can go back and look for it. And I think you can still go, but it gets to a point that some of these greats, their bodies are just beat up from over the years. There's nothing more that you could say. Their bodies are beat up for everything they gave us. That's why that QR code on the screen is very, very important, because it's for National Pro Wrestling Day. It takes you about 10 seconds to do, totally free to do, and it honors guys like The Undertaker or Ric Flair. And it gets to a point where if these guys are out there performing and they're starting to look, not on the top of their game, people start talking negative about them. You know what I mean? It's just like, Tom Brady. He's talking about coming back again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Brett Favre had that
And
issue.
you're one of the all-time greats. You really are.
What more do you have to?
Now you come
What
back.
more do you have to add to your
Right.
legacy? There's nothing more.
Now let's say you can't complete a couple passes.
Yeah.
Your team don't click. Maybe your arm's not letting you throw, say,
Yeah.
70 yards.
Now you'll be
And
remembered for
now
not completing those.
Sometimes it's
Yeah.
just as much as it's in you, you got to fight that world
Right.
and step it. That's my opinion.
Like if you look at Terry Funk, he's a perfect example of that.
Yeah.
But we get to see Undertaker maybe once a year, twice
Yeah.
a year with the.
And his podcast is.
I've never
really
listened
good.
to it, but
I've heard clips and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's really good. Chris from Providence, Rhode Island. Who is a bigger draw, AJ Styles or Drew McIntyre?
by me answering this doesn't mean that I don't like the other guy as much. But Drew, I think, is a bigger draw. AJ is what he is, phenomenal. I mean, in the ring, if you come from from 2000 on, or like when WWF bought WCW, that era to this era, like AJ and Samoa Joe are two of my favorite guys.
Yep.
But as far as draw, Drew McIntyre. Is the big
Yeah, I'm going to absolutely agree.
especially right now. Too.
Yeah, because it seems like AJ is just plateau as he's great. You know what you're going to get. You can stick him with anything, any storyline. Drew is just, to me, it seems like that guy keeps growing each
He's getting
week.
better, yeah.
And it's like, you know who he reminds me of? Dustin Reynolds. It seems like Dustin Reynolds got better as he aged. Like he keeps getting better.
He does.
And it seems like Drew is just following that footsteps of, there's never, oh man, you know what I mean? With him.
Dustin Rhodes is an anomaly because this guy, how old is he? He's like 54, 55.
Something like that.
And he can still go he's, all right. Is the main event really the most important match on the show? And doesn't have a name, so Anonymous from Rhode Island. No, not always. It's not always.
No. We were always taught back in the day the most important match wasn't the main event, it was the opening match, because the opener sets the tone for the show.
I think
That also goes against, you might bring it up, what you were going to say, I didn't mean to cut you off, also goes against, TV is different than a live event.
Right.
So it does have a lot of things. What was going to be your take
Well,
on
the
that?
Saturday night's main event, this isn't what I was going to say, but this is adding to what you said. Like Saturday night's main event, Hogan used to be like the first match on the show.
True.
And that was because they wanted people to watch it before they went to bed later in the night. And so Hogan would be the first match, and the last match would be like King Kong Bundy versus Jim Powers or something, What I was going to mention is maybe one of the best examples, and this is at WrestleMania level, so this is the top level, WrestleMania 18. The main event was Triple H and Chris Jericho for the title, but the match before it was Rock and Hogan. Now, which one of those matches was more important? Obviously, Rock and Hogan.
Right.
It wasn't the main event of the show. So, not always the main event is the match. And sometimes, for example, and I've always not felt this way, that the title has to close out a show, because lately they haven't done that. Like, for example, I can't remember if Rhea Ripley and Nia Jax was for the women's title, but they closed out the show in Australia.
Yeah.
And that's because Rhea Ripley's from there. So sometimes they are taking like the home star, and if it's in a, say it was in Japan, and say they had Shinsuke, he's not a champion, but it might be Shinsuke versus Brock Lesnar, but it's not for a title. It's for the area. So again, that works in different ways. The main event isn't
really
always
does.
the most important, but at the same time, the main event doesn't always have to be for the title either.
Yeah, that's a good question. That's honestly a whole show type of question, because you really can dive deep into that and explain more in details.
Think of like house shows too. Like a lot of times Hogan, he'd be the match before intermission.
Yeah.
For a couple of reasons. One, so he can get out of there.
Yeah.
But it's so that would be the main attraction.
And it would be to sell merchandise of him and do
Yeah,
intermission.
right.
You know what I mean? You had to have if you have a very weak start on your show, people aren't staying through the whole show. They're just going to leave. All right, we have Greg from Cranston, Rhode Island. Who are some of the old timers you wish WWE would make figures of?
Oh man.
And I think we're going to see a whole bunch of them now, because
They're signing a lot of people now.
Yeah, a lot of
You
legends.
said that they were signing people because AEW wanted to do a figures line of
Yeah, AEW was
older
thinking
people?
about doing a figures line, kind of like the classic line, because the guy that actually made the classic line works for them. That's who puts out their figures.
I mean, we've gotten a
well, it
question.
doesn't work for him, but you know what I'm saying.
We've gotten a question like this in the past where it's like, who would you like to see figures of people who haven't been made? And we kind of answered that in a way. I can't remember. Now it's come across like with the Mattel, which I don't really know that who's been made because I never collected the Mattels. Like there's so many people. I know Jesse Ventura just signed, so we're gonna get some Jessies.
Yep.
I basically like guys from the '80s that maybe were mid card guys or opening card guys. Like, for example, like Sam Houston. I don't think they've ever made a Sam Houston. No. And now, if I collected Mattels, like I did, so for Jax, I have so many. If they were to remake Jax, I'll just change it up. If they were to remake Jax, I wouldn't want them to make like Hulk Hogan or Ultimate Warrior. I have so many of them. I want the guys that probably were never made, like a Sam Houston or a Boris Zukov, guys that they didn't make. I mean, guys that probably aren't going to sell, so they will never make them. But guys that weren't really made.
I'm going to say, these guys are 90% of the time will be put in a legend line first before they put them in any other line. I think I said it before when we brought up this question or somebody asked. I'm going to easily go with Nails. I think he will look great in the new box. I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in to us and sending your questions in. Make sure you keep sending the questions in, because without you guys, we can't have a show. Make sure you guys do that QR code. We'll see you guys around everywhere in New England, because we are crazy busy because of you guys, and we thank you guys for that. And take our Smile Up Challenge. Spend more smiles than hate in the world. And you know what they say. You write the questions.
We got the answers.
See you next week, folks.